for what's likely going to be the last time we get to see Steph Curry versus LeBron in a playoff series. And this one is going to be really special because for the first time since 2016, it really feels like there's a level playing field here with their teams. The series is going to be a bit different in terms of LeBron and Steph. And what I mean by that is, while Steph is currently at the peak of his powers and as dominant as ever, I will say that LeBron has appeared to regress a bit, and he's not at that previous form that we saw from 2015 to 2018. So it's going to be incredibly interesting to see how much LeBron can bring to this series in terms of his peak. I'm going to start this off by breaking down where they're at in their careers and what it's going to mean for the series and their rivalry. Starting off with Steph, I believe that we're really seeing him at his final form in terms of his peak. And what I mean by that is, past criticisms of Steph included, his defensive ability, his stature, and his ability to perform in big games. And I feel like he silenced all of those. In terms of performing in big games, he just had 50 on the road in a Game 7, and in the 2022 finals, when they were down 2-1 to the Celtics, he was able to silence them and shut them up and prevent his team from going down 3-1. So he's very consistent in big moments now. Another comment that I have about Steph's killer instinct is that he really just looks like a psychopath sometimes on the court. When you see him smiling after a bad play, or when you see him smiling while he's just dropping a team off, he really does get in the zone and goes to another place psychologically in big moments. And in the past, you would see him get flustered at times, but this is someone who's mastered himself mentally and physically on the court. Now, harping back to defensive ability and physicality, he's became a lot bigger and a lot stronger, and it's helped his defense a lot. He's no longer getting muscled by other guards. He can really clamp up well and be a solid defender, and they no longer have to hide him. My only complaint about Steph really would be that he defers a little bit too much. But you saw in Game 7 when the chips were down, he was willing to take all the shots. So that's a really good sign going forward. But in the Kings series, there were moments that I felt like he was deferring a little bit too much. Overall for Steph, I feel like this season and last season, we're really seeing his best overall dominant form. He's really solid in every aspect of the game now, and he does a lot of little things in the past that he didn't do. This is very much similar to me to like a 2018 LeBron or a 2010 Kobe or a 2001 Shaq. This is a great player at their greatest, and no one can really do anything about it. Now, getting into LeBron, it may not be 2020, it may not be 2018, it may not be 2016, it may not be 2013, whatever year you want to name, but he can really still be a killer in big moments. And when the Lakers really need him, he rises to the occasion and he's still that killer. We saw that against Memphis when the chips were down and LeBron needed to be LeBron, he answered the call. In Game 4, they needed him to hit a shot to tie it to go to overtime, and he sunk a high layup over Jaren Jackson Jr. And in overtime, he was very dominant, hitting some clutch layups and eventually getting the game-sealing and one. But at the same time in that series, there were a lot of moments that didn't really inspire confidence. You know, bad games where he was just jacking up threes he didn't need to shoot, going 5 of 17, or just looking a bit slow at times and not engaged. So for LeBron this series, I think the key things for him are going to be knowing when to defer, knowing when to give himself some rest, and knowing when to be in attack mode and when to go at the other team. I think a lot of this depends on the status of his foot. His foot really appeared to bother him sometimes in round one, where some games he wasn't really to get by defenders like he used to. So, what do these 2 points in their career between LeBron and Steph mean for this matchup? Well, for LeBron, we're sort of seeing a last dance or a final stand. One of his last few seasons where he's this elite and can do it at this high of a level, and he's trying to go on a run for one last championship. And then you have Steph, who's at the peak of his powers, and he's trying to go for a 5th championship and really push himself forward on the all-time list. So, in terms of legacy, this series is going to mean a lot, and it's going to be special. You have LeBron on his last legs, trying to win one last ring, versus Steph, who is at the peak of his powers and a heated rival, trying to go for his 5th. And as fans, I ask one thing out of you. I know it's easy to get caught up in the moment and to, be toxic and to hate on one player when you like another. But please just live this one out and appreciate it because you never know how many more times you're going to see this. You don't know how many more times you'll see LeBron. You don't know how many more times you'll see this matchup. Just really enjoy this because you'll miss it when it's gone. Circling back to the series as a whole, I also want to touch on some other key factors that I believe will be, major determining elements in the series. The first one I want to talk about is the Lakers were pretty bad at crashing the defensive glass at times against the Grizzlies. And when you have someone like Looney out there who has been insane in the playoffs, one of the best offensive rebounders I've ever seen, the Lakers are really going to need to crash the glass. Anthony Davis needs to crash the glass. Vanderbilt needs to crash the glass. LeBron needs to crash the glass. They all need to be on it because stopping the Warriors once is hard enough, and stopping them twice when they're getting offensive boards, incredibly difficult. This all sort of comes together for the Lakers in the sense that this is going to need to be a team effort in every single facet of the game because to stop the Warriors, this team defense that's been great since the All Star break needs to be firing on all cylinders. And the way they play defense this series is going to be way different from last series. Last series, they just funneled everything to Anthony Davis, who is an incredibly elite rim protector. But against this team that's more jump shooting oriented, it's going to be more challenging for AD as he can't camp the paint as much, and he's going to have to be a better help defender. We've seen this team be great in help, and we've seen AD be great in help, and we're really going to need to see that this series, and with how they guard Steph Curry. I assume they're going to try what they did with Ja, where they rotate out Vanderbilt and Schroeder as the main primary on ball defenders, and they try their best to go over screens and fight through them. But with as difficult it is to guard Steph, I feel like the Lakers at some points might just live with it and force the other guys on the Warriors to beat them. Because we saw that at times Clay is susceptible to bad games. Jordan Poole can have a lot of bad games. Wiggins can have a lot of bad games. So if Steph is hitting, the Lakers might just be content with that and they might, put two or three guys on him and really force the other guys to put pressure on them. And that's going to be incredibly key for the Warriors is getting contributions from guys not named Steph Curry on offense. All in all for this series, with these two teams being evenly matched, I think the main things that determine who will win it is going to be clutch time and coaching and adjustments. The Lakers have given up a lot of big leads this season, and they cannot have moments like that in the clutch where they give up a huge lead. If you give the Warriors a free game, it's going to come back to bite you. And well, that's all I really got for the beginning of the series. I'll probably break down most of the games and go over them. So if you want to see more from me, subscribe for more. And thanks for watching.